Hello everyone, in this video I have the question written down here, which says when x to the power of 2x plus x to the power of negative 2x is equal to 6, meanwhile a is positive and a to the power of x is between 0 and 1, solve for the next 3 questions. But first, I know that there's no questions written down here, and I'm going to write down question number 1 first, and then I'm going to erase it after I solve it, then write the next 2 questions down. For question number 1, we're going to be solving for a to the power of x plus a to the power of negative x. To solve for this, we're going to square it. We're going to square it, and if we square it, we're going to get a to the power of 2x plus 2 times a to the power of x times a to the power of negative x plus a to the power of negative 2x. These two can be multiplied and cancelled to make 1, and a to the power of 2x plus a to the power of negative 2x is equal to 6. So these two will make 6 if we add them together. And so that will be 6 plus 2 from here. That makes 8. But that's not the answer for this quite yet, because after we get 8, that's not the answer for what we've been trying to solve for. What we just solved for was this, but what we want to solve for was this. So since, alright, here now, since a to the power of x plus a to the power of negative x is equal to, squared is equal to 8, that means that if we take the square roots on both sides, then here what we do is, so we're going to use this, okay? Since a to the power of x is between 0 and 1, we're going to set a to the power of x as 1/2. Of course, we don't know that a to the power of x is actually 1/2, but we're just going to substitute it to test out something. If we put a to the power of x as 1/2 and put it in here, we get 1/2 plus 2 for this part. And if we add these together, that's a positive, right? So that means that if we take the square root of this, we just write the exact same thing as what we had, and that is equal to 2 times square root of 2. And you might ask, why can't this be equal to plus or minus 2 times square root of 2? Well, that is because it says here that a is positive. So yeah, that is the answer for number 1. And now I'm going to erase this whole thing and write question number 2 and 3, since they're kind of related together. For question number 2, we're going to be solving for a to the power of x minus a to the power of negative x. And you know what, I'm just going to solve for this and then write question number 3. To solve for this, we're going to do what we did for question number 1. We're going to square this to solve for it. If we square it, then we get a to the power of 2x minus 2 times a to the power of x times a to the power of negative x plus a to the power of negative 2x. These two can be multiplied and cancel out to be 1, and a to the power of 2x plus a to the power of negative 2x, they make 6 if we add them together. That will give us 6 minus 2 from this. That's equal to 4. But again, this is not the final answer yet. What we found for was this. We're trying to find for this. So since a to the power of x minus a to the power of negative x to the power of 2 is equal to 4, that means that if we square it on both sides, then we get this. And again, you might ask, why can't it be plus or minus square root of 4? Well, that is because a is positive. And now for this is an important thing. Like we did in number 1, we're going to set a to the power of x as something between 0 and 1. Let's do 1/2 again. If we substitute a to the power of x as 1/2 into here, then we get 1/2 minus 2, which is a negative number. We get -3/2, right? And since we get a negative, we have to add a negative in front of a to the power of x minus a to the power of negative x. This is just like the same rule as we have for absolute values. So if we have, like for example, if we have absolute value of -a, when a is positive, then we can put, so if we just substitute a as anything that is positive, like 1, then that will give us absolute value of -1, right? So that will be -1, which is equal to 1. So since this will always be a negative number, we have to put a negative sign in front of it, which is equal to a. So here we actually did negative of -1, which is equal to 1. Just like that. There are a few more examples, but I think you guys got it. So here now, since we're trying to solve for this, we can divide -1 on both sides, giving us a to the power of x minus a to the power of -x is equal to -2. Okay, now I'm going to write down the problem for question number 3. For question number 3, we are asked to find a to the power of 3x minus a to the power of -3x. And to solve for this, we're going to use what we found from number 2. We're going to cube both sides of this equation, which will get us this. And if we cube this, then we get, we're going to use the formula a plus b to the power of 3 is equal to a to the power of 3 plus 3 times a squared times b plus 3 times a to the power of b squared plus b to the power of 3. So we're going to use this formula and solve for this. That will give us a to the power of 3x minus 3 times a to the power of 2x times a to the power of -x plus 3 times a to the power of x times a to the power of -2x minus a to the power of -3x, which is equal to -2 to the power of 3, which is -8. What we're trying to solve for is a to the power of 3x minus a to the power of -3x. Now I'm going to erase this formula since it's taking up a little bit of room. And that was the formula from part of the Pascal's triangle, the 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 3, 1, 1, and we just used this formula. And so if we write this and this together on the left side of this equation, and we're going to factor this with -3, a to the power of x minus, if we multiply these two together, we get a to the power of -x, which is equal to -8. Now, as you can see, this is what we found in number 2, -2. And so now, a to the power of 3x minus a to the power of -3x, minus 3 times -2 plus 6 is equal to -8. Now for the final part, a to the power of 3x minus a to the power of -3x is equal to -8 minus -8 minus 6, which is -14. So that's the answer. Thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day. Bye.